Hello, welcome to a quick video demo of GNS3 running Timos 12.0 R6 on a Windows 8.1 machine, technically on a Debian environment running in a virtual instance upon a Windows 8.1 machine. This is my home PC. We've got 8 gigs of RAM. The main drive is an SSD drive, so that helps speed up with some paging. I've basically got VM Workstation running on the machine with a bunch of snapshots. In VM Workstation, I've got this Debian 8.0 environment in which I've installed GNS3, the lovely simulator, and within GNS3 I currently have 6 instances of Timos SROS 12.0 R6 running. Here's my console connections to each of the 6 windows. Each of them is active. Each of them is logged in. If I do show both, we can see that I set up static routes to an external environment actually elsewhere on the PC. I've got running, if I minimize this, show you an FTP server out on the PC environment just running FileZilla, and that's providing me access to the license file. I'm lucky enough to have an active license file, so my instances don't reset every hour. The BOF references out to DNS address, external DNS address, which actually is back into points back into its own computer, and pulls the license file in by FTP. So every time the license file updates in the PC FTP environment, I only have to update it once in that external environment, rather than update it in each of the different images of Timos. There's 3 different static routes because the external provider I use, DNS.net, keeps changing the address they allocate to me. So every time they do it, I have to add an extra static route to the BOF. I do show system license. We can see there's an active valid license on each of the instances, so it's very powerful. The main GUI. So we can see I've got routers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 running. Each router I've allocated, I've told it to run in approximately 1.9 or 2, I think just shy of 2 gigs of RAM. So obviously with 6 routers, that means there must be some paging going on, probably to the SSD cache. They're all booted up at the moment, but I can take any of them and shut them down, or shut them all down using this top device or start up here. We can make extra connections. So at the moment, we can see this connection goes from Ethernet 3 to Ethernet 4 on R5 to R1 to router 1. The thing is, these routers are set up in a way that the My SR Lab training and the Alcatel-Lucent training books for NRS2 and SRA promote. They basically promote using 6 routers. These things down the bottom are just switches which connect those routers Ethernet port 0, which is the management port, out via a switched environment to external management. And that's the connection to the outside world. I've got, using my VM Workstation session, the session is bridged. It shows it somewhere here, but essentially the Ethernet interface down the bottom right is shown to be wired. It's a bridge session with my home PC environment, the Windows 8.1 environment, which means that it's sharing the home PC LAN essentially, and it can use that same DNS server, which is my home router, to reach out to the outside world. At the moment, all 6 routers are. I should explain at the moment. The routers are in a network with router 1, 2, and 3 running ISIS. If I do show router ISIS interface, I've not got ISIS running to R6 at the moment. I've got BGP running MPBGP for IP version 4 family between routers 1, 2 and 3. That's 1, 2 and 3 down here. And we can see that means, because it's clearly a full mesh, we've got peering between routers 2 and 3 there, and there's the VPN IP version 4 family. I've got show service. I've got a VPRN running with SAPs on router 1 facing R5, router 2 facing R6, router 3 down here facing R4, and each of those is running eBGP to these routers, which are acting as CE routers on a customer site, for an exercise I'm about to do shortly on loop prevention. If I go to this CE router, it's still a 7750 instance. I do show router BGP summary. We can see that it indeed has a regular eBGP peering to, in this case, this PE router. I found that I can run six routing instances with 8 gigs of RAM quite successfully. Sometimes it goes a bit funny. So if I pause the machine within VM Workstation or suspend it and then restart it again, sometimes I have to shut down the machines in the GNS3 interface, just hit the red button, hit the green one, wait 5 minutes while they all reboot, and then log back into them. Clearly it's important that I've done an admin save on each instance first to make sure I haven't lost my config. So it isn't 100% stable, I must admit, but it's quite nice that it's running within Debian within a VM instance. I did use VM Player, and it works just the same way in VM Player, but VM Player doesn't give me the flexibility to have the snapshots which VM Workstation offers, and clearly I've got different snapshots as I develop my different scenarios, and I can go back and practice on them once again in all scenarios. This is not a video, as you can understand, to explain how all this was set up. It's really a proof of concept that things can run quite well. And I can ping from a C router. Let's see what the interface is up here. And if I ping from this C router across the VPRN to this, from router R4 to router R6 up here. So ping, let's see the, I'll go to, that's what it is. I've got to remember which interface I'm going to. I think in this one I'm not actually sharing addresses at the moment. You'll have to take it because I've not set the export policies to share interface addresses on this instance. But not a great video, but shows the principle. Cheers.